It's only 8 races left to go in the Turkey Hill Truck Series for 2023, and now we move on to the month of November. Only 2 months left here in this Turkey Hill Truck Series season, and this championship fight is starting to heat up. Ladovik Stret comes in with a 19-point lead, and anything can happen when we come to the Tricky Triangle here in the home state of Turkey Hill. This is the Pocono Mountains 200 at the Pocono Raceway, the 11th race of the season in the 2023 Turkey Hill Truck Series. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the Pocono Raceway here for the 11th race of the season. 20 laps of action around the Tricky Triangle here today. For the longest time, this race used to be only 15 laps. It is now a 20-lap event, and we are going to have a cycle of pit stops, about a 13 to 14-lap fuel run. This is a high-speed speedway, so those speedway ratings are going to come into play here today. However, we may not see too much passing because of the nature of this racetrack with the GNS physics. So Andrew Williams, Derek Hamill on the front row, they could have the advantage, but Ladovik Stret, he starts in the 3rd position here today, looking to extend that points lead on Bruno Diacomo. Diacomo starts way in the field, way deep in the field there in that 82 machine. It's going to be very interesting to see if the 14 can extend his points lead going into the next race at Dover. Jordan alongside Matt Tuck once again. 3rd straight week you've called the race, so you've seen how these guys have gone, and you've seen how well that 14 of Ladovik Stret has done. Do you think he's going to pull away even more in the championship after today's race?
I think he's sitting in a very good position to be able to do that today. Obviously, you see that bright yellow machine sitting there up in the front, couple rows. So he's going to have a chance to do it today, but, I mean, we've seen a lot of crazy things happen here, from IndyCar to Cup Series to, you know, anything that's run here before. We know crazy things can happen, and I think he's going to have a good chance to do something good here today, but we'll just see how it all plays out for him.
We absolutely will. Of course, he's in one of the best places to start here at Pocono, 3rd on the inside lane, and this is a track where they do tend to spread out a little bit, and we saw that in the Cup race when we came here back in July. Remember that race? It was Drew Webb and Nicholas Samedeo who were up front. That entire race, they had an excellent battle for the race lead that unfortunately got cut short a lap early because of early caution. That race almost went caution-free. We could see the same here today. It'll be interesting to see how that all ends up shaking out. Of course, Ladovik Stret, the points leader, 19 points on Bruno Diacomo. Diacomo there, 2nd in the standings, 2-time winner of the season, but he's kind of slipped up a little bit the past few races. And like I mentioned, he starts deep in the field here today. Thomas Troxel starts 5th, right behind Ladovik Stret there. He's 39 points behind. Nathan Stapleton is 43 points behind. And Joe Rutkowski, the season champion from about 3 years ago, season 7 champion, I should say, 56 points behind coming into today's race. Nicholas Samedeo, should mention him, is 6th in the championship standings, 75 points behind. He's still very much in contention, and so is Andrew Williams, 80 points behind. A win from Williams could possibly put himself in position in the last 7 races. We'll go ahead and get these drivers to roll off here from the Tricky Triangle here on this Saturday afternoon in November. Crisp, cool air here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, I would assume. Andrew Williams, Derek Hamill on the front row to start this one. You got Ladovik Stret, Roberto Crown Jr. in row at number 2. There's Thomas Troxel to the inside of Laura Chung in row at number 3. Blaine Keys, your driver there, Matt, to the inside of our last winner of Josh Williamson. It was his first career win on the channel for Josh Williamson as a driver last week at Watkins Glen. And we got the 2 of Noah Clifton to the inside of Chris Reynolds there in row number 5. We mentioned Samedeo almost won this race back in July, almost won the Cup race, I should say, back in July. He starts 11th there. And then Bruno Diacomo, one of those guys in the championship hunt, of course, has had a great season up to this point. All the way back in the 15th row right there, starting 30th. Not the best place to start there for the driver who's 2nd in points. Well, Matt, got a lot of strong drivers up front. Who do you think is going to get the race victory here in the Pocono Mountains 200?
Well, I think for this week, I'm going to lay off of the Grattan Autosport propaganda machine, and I'm going to pick the guy in the Pilot Flying J truck, Thomas Troxel, and I think he's going to find his way to get another win, who, by the way, could have 3 or 4 wins on the year with the speed he's shown at some of these races.
One win on the season for Troxel, and That win only came out of fuel mileage at the Texas Motor Speedway, but you are right. He has been up front in a lot of these races. Sits third in the championship standings and could have a good opportunity getting a little closer to Ludovic Charette, especially if the 14 has an issue. But I tell you, Ludovic's had an excellent season so far, and he could be the main favorite in this championship at the end of today's race. Here we go! 20 laps at the Tricky Triangle. It's going to be a fun one here today. Andrew Williams and Derek Hamill lead us to the green flag. We're underway in the Pocono Mountains 200. The 52 of Andrew Williams will lead lap number 1. A bonus point towards the championship for the Ryan Durrani Incorporated driver. Ludovic Charette, though, right behind him in the 14. And Derek Hamill, Thomas Troxel, and Blaine Keys, they single file out there in the top 5. That inside lane, as a matter of fact, for the most part, taking up those top 6 positions. Nicholas Samadio started 11th, already up to 6th in 1 lap.
Is Samadio and that Grattan Autosport machine just absolutely hauling the mail here early on, and we see Blake Keys has moved up. This top couple runners have really they've shaken up a bit. That Ally machine went backwards, but we see Keys, Troxel, Hamill, Samadio, and now Hamill's going to go to the inside of Charette. Andrew Williams is loving this, but it's a strong start for these top runners here. Is they're going to, like you said, it's only a 20-lap race. This is basically a sprint race. So these guys are going to have to be on it from the get-go here if they want a shot at winning this.
Absolutely, and this race used to be shorter as well. Of course, it only used to be 15 laps. We do have 20 laps and a cycle of pit stops to go through. Like I mentioned, 13 to 14 laps on the fuel run here today. Going to be interesting to see how that all goes down once we get to that cycle, because that could shake things up quite a bit. Derek Hamill is 9th in points, and even though he won the first race of the season at Daytona, we really haven't seen much of him since that win. He's been hanging in there, top 10 in points, and he's going to the inside of our points leader through the tunnel turn, trying to get second away from the 14. Meanwhile, Samadio back in, or still in the 6th position, I should say. They're side by side behind him with Laura Chung and Roberto Crown Jr. Noah Clifton on Eric Drew right there. They're inside the top 10, and our last winner, Williamson, looking to join the top 10 there. Now you got Troxel looking to the inside of Charette as well. A lot of grip on the outside lane through turn 3, though. A little bit different style of racing with these guys compared to the Cup cars, and we're going to see that outside lane work out fairly well through turn 3.
We've seen the outside of turn 3 work a lot for a lot of different types of vehicles here. Not so much for the open wheel guys, but this man Samadio on an absolute flyer to start this race. Started on row 5, I believe. Has already moved his way several positions. Going to get around Blaine Keys, who has a strong truck here. Our boys brought some good, solid machinery this week. Hopefully we can translate that. But they are single file up here at the front. Nose to tailgate. We see Derek Hamill got around Charette. And now this 51, also Grattan Autosport machinery. Looking really strong here. I just, maybe one of these days we'll go one broadcast without me pushing just Grattan Autosport propaganda, but just so nice to see, a Grattan Autosport driver in 2nd, a future one in 3rd, another one up here in the top 5, one of my drivers doing well, just having a great time up here in the booth.
Yeah, you all having a good run so far, that's for sure. Especially in the Cup Series this past year. Of course, you got that win in Auto Club and had contention in the championship all the way to the end. I think you guys next year in the Cup Series are going to be really well. We've talked about that with Ludovic Charette. And with what he's done in the Truck Series so far this year, with a new team, a completely new team, by the way, I'd watch out for Ludovic next year and his opportunity at the Cup Series Championship. Derek Hamill to the inside for the race lead on Andrew Williams. They're going to remain side by side, though, as they enter turn number 3. And like I mentioned, that outside lane's got some grip, but Hamill's going to drive it in deep, and he's going to take it away from Andrew Williams on lap 5.
Yeah, it was a powerful move to the inside of Andrew Williams, who had a strong start to the race, but you saw that he won. He was able, once he gave up the spot early to Charette, but just able to methodically work his way through these flat corners and was able to get by Andrew Williams. And now I think Williams is going to find himself in a little bit of trouble here because he's got Charette, Troxel, and I don't know what these guys brought this weekend, but Sam Adio is on an absolute flyer here to start this race. Is really coming up through the field here well. And you see that 01 of Roberto Crown Jr., who also had a decent starting spot, lost a few spots at the start, and is now working their way back up through the field.
They're up to the 6th position right there. Solid run for the Stover Motorsports driver. 22nd in points coming into this race here today. They're going to get around Nicholas Amadio right there, who had a bit of a poor entry into the corner. Kind of got shaken up there because he couldn't get around Troxel, and Troxel was able to get a run on Charette, but he couldn't get around the 14. And like I said, it's difficult to make a pass here. We saw Drew Webb and Nicholas Amadio go back and forth all day in the Cup race, but once we got to that point in the season, that was the 24th race. The ratings were so deep and complicated at that point that everyone had their own personality. We're only 11 races in. We won't even hit 24 races here in the Truck Series. So while some of these guys have some personality, we have some drivers who are better than others. Others, obviously, we're still very early on in terms of the ratings. Not much is different. There is a lot of difference, but not as near as much as when we were here in the Cup Series. So these guys, a lot more equal than what we saw in July. And with that in mind, it's going to be a little bit difficult for these guys to make moves. You know, different ratings. A lot closer on the numbers, and Troxel going to get around Sam Adio, who did get around that 23, or get around the 93, I should say. These guys continue to shuffle around as the top 2 pull away there, and Derek Hamill and Andrew Williams.
Hamill and Williams really a strong run here, and this will bode well for them heading into the pit stop cycle, because we see the pit stop cycle here. Undercut can be quite powerful here on the sides of these straightaways. Now Sam Adio gets to the inside of Charette. Sam Adio is going to take a whole way of trucks with him to the bottom of the racetrack. And I guess the one thing, Charette's up a lot right now in this race on Bruno Diacomo. Thomas Troxel, though, does need to start, picking some points off where he can off of Ludovic Charette's lead. Because Charette's got a big enough gap over Troxel, who looks like he's kind of asserted himself over Diacomo as the guy to challenge Charette over the second half of the season. Oh, this guy right here. This is another guy we should talk about in this 72 with Josh Williamson. Has really come on super strong here. And if he could get a good run today and start building some momentum, gets a good run at IRP, win at Watkins Glen, another good run here. Keep your eye on this 72. I think he's got something for the second half of the year.
It's going to be interesting to see if the relative struggles of that team may keep him from having a shot at the title. Ludovic Charette, though, struggling a little bit here. Now down to 7th. He lost 4 positions right there in about 1.5 laps. So Ludovic's trying to hold on to that 14. Can't quite do it. Sam Adio and Troxel, meanwhile, still side by side. And they're losing a lot of ground to Derek Hamill and Andrew Williams right here. And you mentioned the undercut on the pit lane. That may be what you have to do in order to get around these top 2 drivers right now. But I tell you, they're putting on a great show for 3rd. Roberto Crown Jr. moving up to 4th right there, trying to get to the inside of Sam Adio as Troxel moves back into the podium position. And the 93 there for Evans Ross Racing, looking to pull away and maybe close in on Williams and Hamill. But look at that gap those two have. Derek Hamill out front, Andrew Williams in 2nd, and then it's about 2 seconds until you get to Thomas Troxel.
Thomas Troxel just pacing the rest of the pack here as Hamill and Williams just checked out, using the draft to work off of each other. They have absolutely gapped this field. Now Josh Williamson, we're seeing really reassert himself here in this field. Take a look at Blaine Keys in the 1 truck there. You got the 3 machine there as well of Eric Monaco.
Eric Drew.
A lot of drop. Eric Drew, my bad. Got confused with
Monaco's in the 28.
The 28, I feel like they look really alike, and I feel like I probably got that.
They do, actually, because the 28's the F1 truck, and Yeah, they have similar colors to it. Hey, here's Nathan Ormond moving up into the top 10. A solid run to Watkins Glen last week, and we get to see this team have a good run. You got Laura Chung, who won 4 times last year in the trucks. She's just outside the top 10 right now. That's Rogel Dorn in the 4. Rogel Dorn's had a tough year there at Hairgel Motorsports, and yeah, let me tell you, that there was a bit of controversy there with the Cup Series. Rogel's now leaving this team next year, moving over to Hamill Racing Enterprises, which for Rogel may actually be a better move because that team was very strong last year with Echo Evans-Ross and the 47, and Rogel was very strong in a ride that should not have been running as well as it was, but he's about to get around Ludovic Charette. This 14 is still off the pace. Orman's around the 14, and now this outside lane through the tunnel turn looking to kick in. Rogel's going to get it there. Behind those guys, you got Joe Rakowski, Caleb Rose. Hey, and Caleb's been doing an excellent job with the Rowdy Energy Pro Series. Love what he's bringing us here to the channel. Philip Torres is there in the 44, in the Noah Clifton, excuse me. Sebastian Kukulon, winner of this race last year. Igor Barreto, the IRP winner, is up here as well. Got Chris Reynolds, Brian Webb midway through the field. Logan Williams there. Sam and Oskin. Got Aaron Abel, Zachary Fitzwater, Juan Rodriguez, Micah Knapp there, Ethan Lewis, Casey Nanico, Avery Alford, Trey Barto. Diacomo's not moved up at all on this race. 31st right now for Diacomo. That's not good at all for the driver who's second in points. Then it's Shane Lake, Eric Monaco, Andrew Miller. Not a good run for him. Neither can be said for Nathan Stable here in the 61. But not at all a good run for the driver who's fourth in points. And then John Andrews may be off the pace there in the 49. Lap 12 at 20, and Hamill's already peeking down here to come down the pit lane.
Here we go.
And the cycle's going to begin right here.
This is, I think, a smart move by Hamill. Duck down pit road ahead of everybody. So you get a clean entry and exit off of pit road. And then you just got to put one hot lap around this 2.5-mile oval and try and beat out Andrew Williams. And we will see how that plays out for Derek Campbell. But this 52 truck's had a very strong day so far. And the interesting thing is going to be, without a caution, I think regardless, it's going to be these two battling out here. It's these drivers here in the mid-pack.
There's something in the wrong first with Ludovic Charette. There is clearly something wrong with this 14 because he is dropping like a rock right now. And I don't know if he's got a tire going down or what, but this may be a saving grace for Diacomo. But here's the thing, Troxel is going to gain significantly on those guys. And then if Sam Medeo stays up front, Josh Williamson's 10th in points coming in. Hamill's also going to be kind of in the mix there. And then Andrew Williams as well, 7th in points coming into this race. The points could be way tighter going in the Dover next weekend. Ludovic's got to be careful not to slip up too much. Here come a majority of the field. Sam Medeo's going to stay out, lead a lap. That's a bonus point for him. Orman also staying out, same with Laura Chung. Now, the tire wear here is very significant. At the end of this run, they're about 2 seconds a lap off their fastest pace. It's going to be interesting to see once we get to the end of the run if these guys who come in later are going to have the speed on the guys who came in before. That's going to be the big question, but there's not going to be too many laps to go. At that point, it's going to be at 5 or 6 laps in that last run, so it may not end up shaking out too well for some of these guys who are coming down now, because Derek Hamill, already off the pit lane, he's coming around here. We'll see where he peaks out in relation to Andrew Williams as he comes off the pit lane, and he's out of here. Derek Hamill going to significantly gain on that 52 machine. It's just going to come down to if Williams can regain that speed in these last 6 laps.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, this 51 is going to have a very comfortable margin to just hold the gap over the 52. But we have seen this year. Unironically, I believe it was the other Williams brother in the IndyCar race. I believe it was Logan. Made up about 3-4 seconds in the final 3 laps of that race. Was just on an absolute flyer and didn't have a ton of drafting help either to make up that gap, which was incredible. But this is going to take an effort by Andrew Williams to be able to catch back up here, but he's got 1 lap extra fresher tires, so Maybe that plays to his... Oh, that was a little...
A little tight. I don't think it's going to affect Hamill too much. That 49 way off the pace there. John Andrews, I think, kind of started this race with an issue and just hasn't worked out too well for him. Andrew Williams, though, you know, it's not too far behind. We're just going to have to see if he closes in at all. Roberto Crown Jr., Blaine Keys, Josh Williamson, Sam Medeo is going to slot into the 6th position. There's Philip Torres in 7th. Orman coming out there. He's top 10 right now. Brian Webb, great run for Brian Webb there. Rockingham winner rebounding fairly well. Of course, this whole team honestly should be much higher in the championship than they are, but so many mechanical issues to start off the season, and they're just too much in the hole at this point to really have a chance, I feel like. Williams is around the 49 of John Andrews, and at the line it's 2.8 seconds. And you know what? That's a reasonable gap in only 5 laps. And we saw the other Williams, Logan Williams, closing the Fitzwater in that IndyCar race. Didn't have enough time to pass him, but if there was one more lap in that IndyCar race, Williams would have won it.
There would have been. So we're gonna have to see if Andrew can take some lessons from his brother. But this is gonna be a little trickier to make up that kind of a gap, I think, in a truck than it is an IndyCar, just given, you know, the speed differentials and how much I think. I also think, I cannot remember who won that race, but I'm pretty sure
Fitzwater won that. Whoever won the IndyCar race.
I feel like Fitzy, I think, if I remember correctly, he took like fuel only or pulled some crazy strategy. And Logan Williams, I think, had 4 fresh tires. But it looks like, and we'll see here, it's coming, but not enough. That's not going to be enough to win.
That's far from being enough. And here's the deal, too. If we get a caution now, it's the point of no return because we had the pit stops going on. It's a 4-lap caution period here at Pocono if a yellow flies. So, hey, you know, anything can happen. Obviously, we'll never forget that moment of all time in Michigan in the Cup Series with Drew Webb. So, you know, it's not over until it's over for Derek Hamill. And we've seen mechanical issues happen throughout the season. So far, everybody in this race still in the race. John Andrews a little bit off the pace, a lap down, but everyone else still on the lead lap. Meanwhile, Ludovic Charette down in 22nd position here, and that is not a good place to be. Considering, too, Giacomo gained fairly well on that cycle, relatively speaking. He's 25th, but he's going to still be within a race win worth of points of Ludovic going into Dover. It's going to bring in Troxel. Troxel actually fell back a little bit right there. He's still top 10. Actually, no, he's not top 10. He's 11th right now. He'll gain a little bit on Charette. Oh
my goodness.
Only unless Orman takes him out right there. That was close. We got 2 seconds now for Andrew Williams. Closed in half a second that last lap. And that 52 is going to be faster near the end of this run because he came in a lap after Derek Hamill. Hamill's tires are wearing out now. We could have ourselves a race. It's very possible. We'll just have to see how it ends up shaking out. But the tire wear very significant here at Pocono, and that could be enough of a difference. We'll have to see what the gap is this time. Williams going to do all he can to get this race victory. Another half a second, but it's just, you can't. He's not going to catch him at that rate. At this rate, he'll lose by half a second.
Unless he grabs some slipstream here. If he gets to within about a second, I think he's going to start to pull some slipstream. So we're going to see. I think he should be about a second back coming to the line. And then it's all just going to be a matter of how much slipstream can he tow down the front stretch and then down the long pond straight down the back stretch, heading into the tunnel turn on the final lap. I think he's got a shot going into turn 3 on the final lap, but it has to be played out perfectly.
It does. We'll have to see. He might be sniffing a little bit of a draft right here. Here we go. White flag in the air in the Pocono Mountains 200. Once again, a caution-free race. But you know what? We could have ourselves a race this time, because he closed in significantly, and he's got that draft now. Oh, yeah, that was a second that lap.
Here we go.
That was a second that lap. You know what? He's going to try to do it in the tunnel turn. Andrew Williams and Derek Hamill looking to battle this one out for the race win at Pocono. Andrew Williams looking for his first win of the season. Derek Hamill looking for his second, but I don't know if Hamill's going to hold him off here. Ryan Durrani Incorporated looking to get their first win in the Truck Series and Cup Series combined. Williams is going to close in significantly here. He wasn't close enough to get to the inside. It's going to be turn 3 if it happens, and Williams is right there. He's going to have to make the move right here. He's going to try to make the move. He's going to try to dive bomb it. He's got a nose. Here we go. We're side by side off the exit of turn 3. Andrew Williams and Derek Hamill. We're going to have ourselves a close one here, folks. It's Andrew Williams stealing the win at the tricky triangle. How about that? The strategy worked. Barely, but it worked. And Andrew Williams gets it for Ryan Durrani here in the Pocono Mountains 200.
I might have been given the script before the race. I think I really called that. The only thing I missed on that call was he was 4/10 behind coming to the white, not a second. But I think I called that down to a T.
You did. Well, that was good. It's been a while since we've seen something like that on the channel. And Andrew Williams, a pole sitter, gets it done in the Pocono Mountains 200 here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series. And he came into this race 80 points behind. He's going to be a lot closer to the Ladovic. Still not going to be a race win worth of points. Ladovic finished 16th. He rebounded fairly well. But still, he's going to lose a little bit of ground right there. And Bruno Diacomo finished 25th. So Ladovic still has a pretty solid advantage here in this championship battle. But it's still far from over. And we still have 7 races left to go. And we got Dover and Iowa, which, you don't really know what could happen either of those tracks. Chicagoland on Black Friday. That race could be very, very interesting. And then you got Martinsville. That can go any which way. Las Vegas is probably the only normal track left on the schedule. Talladega and then Homestead on Christmas Day to finish it out. But look at that margin of victory. And, we have not had many close finishes this year. This is definitely going to be in the top 10 or top 25, however many finishes we do. It'll probably be top 10 again. Closest finishes of the year at the end of the year on New Year's Eve when that goes up. Definitely glad we added one to the list right there at only 8/100ths of a second. Andrew Williams getting it done ahead of Derek Hamill. Take a look at the rest of the results right there. Not a good day for Andrews Racing. Sam Manoskin and John Andrews both in the last 2 positions. They've struggled this year. Not a good day for Bruno Diacomo, but he's still within a race win worth of points of Ludovic Charette, who fell back there. Fascinating race, Matt. How do you think this championship battle is going to play out? Because Ludovic's, showing some signs of weakness here. And you got guys like Williams and Troxel, Sam Medea, who all finished top 10. Williamson as well. How do you think it's going to play out these last 7 races?
Well, I guess maybe I'm leaking my strat a little too much, but I think we've seen a lot of drivers not focus on big oval things in their development for their teams or their driver stuff that caters mostly to bigger ovals. So I think sometimes you see these guys who've been really dominant on the short tracks, which we've seen a lot of, Ludovic, Bruno Diacomo, and then they come out here to Pocono and they kind of completely drop out of nowhere. And, Charette got absolutely cooked on that long run there and then just couldn't really rebound. So it is going to be fascinating because, as you said, Las Vegas is the only intermediate left, I believe, on the schedule.
Homestead.
We'll just see how Homestead too. So we got 2 intermediates. You got 2 intermediates left and a whole bunch of variety with the tracks in between.
Actually, you also have Chicagoland too.
That's true. So I'm an idiot here, but
so there's still 4. I mean, half of the races are, and then you have, Iowa and Martinsville in there, and then Talladega. So you got those 3 wild cards in there, and Talladega being the penultimate race, I think, is going to really shake things up. We kind of anticipating that. The big thing is, though, how big of a lead will our points leader have going into that race at Talladega, because that can really determine how it all ends up shaking out. But either way, excited to see how it all goes down. And excited, too, because Friday, November 11th, in the Discord. It's Thanksgiving 500 signups. We're excited for that. We've already announced it on the channel by this point, and we cannot wait for the biggest special event of the year. Of course, the biggest race is the Indy 250. It's not a special event, though. It's part of the IndyCar series. It's really the only special event we do is the Thanksgiving 500, but we're excited for it, and it's coming up here in less than 3 weeks. The signups are this coming Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on AG, the Discord, and the server, so you know where to go for that. That's more or less a thank you to all you guys who do sign up on the Discord and all that. I debated on doing it on YouTube. I thought, you know what, you guys who do your ratings and everything, you deserve to have first dibs on this stuff because you've been part of all the great racing so far this year, and looking forward to seeing y'all in that race once again and running out on Thanksgiving morning here at Coca-Cola Super Speedway, as we always do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Huge thanks to Matt Tuck for joining me here on short notice, especially, too. But great race here at Pocono, and Andrew Williams gets it done. I don't think it's his first career win on the channel, but first of few for Andrew here, and so far he's doing a lot better than Logan is here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series. Very fascinating to see all of that. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Here are the point standings for the Turkey Hill Truck Series after 11 races. We'll see you next week for the Nemours Children's Health 200 at Dover. That's going to be a lot of fun there on the Monster Mile, the other home track here on the channel. Thank you so much for watching once again. Congratulations to Andrew Williams, and I will see you guys later.